This is going to yet again raise the concern about FAA staffing, air traffic control staffing. There has been this talk about maybe staff cuts at the FAA as a part of President Trump's effort to trim down the federal workforce. This is going to feed into all of these recent incidents, and the safety of the total air traffic system is going to be very much a part of the conversation.
Another plane crash, another story that mainstream liberal media can run to blame President Trump. Former Vice President Kamala Harris is seemingly drunk as she gives a speech to Broadway actors. And an MSNBC host goes full scorched earth on the Democratic Party as she rants about Elon Musk. Appreciate you guys hitting the like button. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Guys, we have a lot to go through in today's video, so it's kind of hard to imagine what a Kamala Harris presidency would have looked like. Although there are times where we can see glimpses of it. The former vice president was recently on Broadway where Kamala Harris tried to inspire actors. Now, if you ask me, she just confused the heck out of them. So let's go ahead and talk about the plane crash in Canada.
18 passengers were injured after a Delta plane flipped upside down during landing at Toronto Pearson Airport.
Here's what we know tonight. The FAA says 80 people were on that plane at the time of the crash, 76 passengers and 4 crew. The aircraft was arriving from Minneapolis. There were no deaths or critical injuries. This, according to airport officials.
We also learned that the same aircraft that crashed flew from Cleveland to Minneapolis earlier today. NBC's Tom Costello has the latest.
On the runway in Toronto, a terrifying end for Delta Flight 4819.
Our plane crashed. It's upside down.
Lying upside down on the runway, an Endeavour Air regional jet had just arrived from Minneapolis in gusty winds when something went terribly wrong.
This airplane just crashed at 2-3.
As thick black smoke poured from the plane, firefighters smothered the scene in foam. The right wing ripped off, the fuselage bearing what appeared to be skid or soot marks.
Everything, drop it!
All 80 people on board managed to escape through the emergency exits.
I was walking to this fence and I could see a CRJ that is possibly crashed on the airport. The airplane is flipped.
18 people injured and transported to area hospitals, including 2 airlifted to trauma centers. 1 child rushed to Children's Hospital in Toronto.
I've seen a few people on stretchers that we have transported. I have seen one person with a sling on their arm, and I've seen others that are just potentially exposure type injuries because it is very cold here.
The plane, a Bombardier CRJ 900 regional jet made in Canada, is a workhorse for short-haul flights worldwide. At the time of the crash, it was 18 degrees with 20 to 30 mile-per-hour winds and strong crosswinds. The question for investigators, how and why did the plane lose at least one, maybe both wings on landing, then flip over, causing jet fuel to spill onto the runway?
I think it's possible the wing may have touched the runway due to a gust, and if that's the case, then the rest of this makes sense. But the recorders are going to show that.
In a statement, Delta says our primary focus is taking care of those impacted. The flight was carrying a total of 80 people, 76 passengers, and 4 crew. The investigation now will be led by the Canadian Transportation Safety Board, with both the U.S. FAA and NTSB assisting.
Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below. There's something really strange that's going on with aviation. Just think back to that Black Hawk helicopter situation with the pilot being a former Biden aide. Another crash in Pennsylvania with the plane seen flying straight down. And now we have a plane that looks like it lost both of its wings. Oh yeah, it was also upside down when they were evacuating people out of it. So there's a lot of factors to take in here. But here's what left-wing media took out of it. Another plane crash, so it's time to blame President Trump. You really got to respect how they have their priorities set to discredit the administration anytime that they can.
Employees with probationary status, that includes critical air traffic control employees. Just 19 days after a military helicopter crashed into a commercial airliner, killing everyone on board. Joining us now, National President at the Professional Aviation Safety Specialist, AFL-CIO, David Spiro. David, thanks for joining us. Who are these folks that have been laid off?
Hi, Katie. Thanks for having me on. So a little bit about PASS. We're a federal employees union. We represent about 11,000 FAA employees, and they are in the Air Traffic Organization and the Aviation Safety Organization for FAA. So a lot of these folks that we're talking about support a couple of the key roles in FAA, which is for us, which are the technicians that maintain the air traffic control system and the aviation safety inspectors who oversee the air carrier system, make sure that they're following all the regulations under 14 CFR and, of course, under general aviation. So these folks that we're talking about, a lot of them, let's say the technical workforce, for example, these folks maintain the physical infrastructure. So maintenance mechanics out there who are making sure that a building roof doesn't leak, the grass is cut, everything around that building isn't falling in so that the technicians can maintain the electronics. Over in the aviation safety world, we talk about aviation safety assistants, folks that do a lot of the paperwork and background work for inspectors, so they're not having to spend their time and the skill of their trade doing all of that sort of work.
Now, of course, I cannot give you just one side of this argument because some people believe that the work that this expert is talking about doesn't even relate to this crash. And you have to listen to it again, but none of the jobs he described talked about maintaining safety up in the air, a point that a former safety team representative from the FAA noted. He was also backed up by a retired commercial airline pilot.
Kyle, I got to ask you, do the potential cuts to the FAA and other parts of the federal government have anything to do with what's going on right now?
From what I see at this point, they have zero to do with this accident. It's not a matter of staffing. They had nothing to do with this at all. I could tell you that right now.
So, Scott, I realize that it's pretty impossible to tell from just this dramatic footage what happened, but you have a wing that is completely sheared off, and you have 40-mile-an-hour winds, as Eric Shawn reported. Can you give us any sort of indication as to what you think might have, what are the range of possibilities of what might have happened here?
Certainly, Charlie. There's a number of things that come to mind. Landing in a crosswind on a low wing airplane like this, you gotta nail everything just right. It's a little bit of a challenge, but when you add icy runways, blowing snow across the runway into the equation, it becomes very tricky. Experienced pilots that do this day in and day out have got a little bit of an edge, and we're aware of what's going on with the aircraft. You can never give up on it. If the pilot was unstable as he's coming down on the approach, and I'm not saying that he was, but if he were, then that adds complexity to the equation as well. If his sink rate is high, if his airspeed is fast as he's coming down, the controls that he's going to put in on normally will act slightly different, and it could over-exaggerate the flight control surfaces, making it quite easy to catch a wing. Once he lands, the game's not over. He's got to continue to fly that airplane all the way down the end of the runway. If he relaxes or comes off at all, there's a good chance the wind gusting like that is going to catch a wing and cause the wing to hit the ground, which could cartwheel the airplane and put it on its back just like it did.
Now, we're going to have to wait and see what else comes from this regarding the crash, but I think that despite the plane crashing, it's good to hear that there were no fatalities. Today's show is brought to you by NetraMark, a cutting-edge AI company that's revolutionizing the pharmaceutical industry and also the sponsor of today's video. Now, NetraMark is publicly traded on the OTCQB exchange under the ticker symbol AINMF, and we're going to be diving into why this market sector could be one of the most transformative investments in U.S. history. So let's be real, guys. AI is changing everything. Just look at Elon Musk, who's constantly pushing the limits with Tesla, Neuralink, and even his AI company, XAI. Then, of course, you got Donald Trump, who has repeatedly said that America must remain dominant in technology and not fall behind to China. And so this is why the Stargate initiative, backed by a staggering $500 billion investment, is making sure America stays ahead of the AI race. Now, some of you may have heard about China's DeepSeek AI, and yes, the competition for AI supremacy is definitely heating up. That's exactly why the U.S. is pouring $500 billion into this effort to ensure American businesses and consumers benefit from world-changing technology. One of the biggest areas AI is transforming is healthcare. You got Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, talking about how AI is going to revolutionize medicine, from speeding up drug development to curing diseases we once thought were untreatable. And let's not forget, Trump has always been a big advocate for American innovation, even pushing for faster drug approvals during his presidency. But here's the problem, guys. Right now, 90% of drug candidates fail before they ever reach the market. Just imagine spending $2.6 billion on a new drug only for it to completely flop in clinical trials. That's a nightmare scenario for pharmaceutical companies. And that's where NetraMark, ticker symbol AINMF, comes in. Their generative AI platform, NetraAI, is changing the game for the pharmaceutical industry. This isn't some minor improvement. This is AI eliminating guesswork, analyzing thousands of data points in minutes, and helping researchers figure out exactly why some patients respond to treatment while others don't. NetraMark's AI doesn't just look at what we already know about medicine. It actually discovers new patterns that even top researchers never thought to look for. It can draw connections between treatments and diseases, which could lead to entirely new breakthroughs, predict side effects and placebo responses before they happen, and also generate hypotheses for what treatments might actually work before a trial even starts. This could potentially save drug companies hundreds of millions of dollars in failed R&D costs. And just to put it into perspective, there are over 450,000 registered clinical trials happening around the world right now. That is a massive opportunity for NetraMark. Even Elon Musk has talked about AI's role in healthcare. Neuralink is using AI to map the brain. But what if we could use NetraMark's AI to finally crack diseases like Alzheimer's? Well, here's the exciting part here, guys. They've already made progress on that front. NetraMark has already identified 2 specific genes that play a key role in Alzheimer's disease, and that's huge. And now they're starting to bring in major clients. Just last year, they signed 4 contracts with a $10 billion plus NASDAQ listed biopharma company that has a large late phase drug pipeline. That means real revenue is coming in. And if just one of those drugs makes it to market with NetraMark's AI, this could be a major win for both the company and for investors. The $1.48 trillion pharmaceutical industry is on the brink of an AI revolution. The old way of testing drugs is too slow, it's too expensive, and it's just too risky. AI is the future, and Trump has made it clear that America cannot afford to lose this race. Think about it. If China wins the AI war, we lose control over the future of medicine, national security, and even financial markets. Trump and Elon Musk have both warned about AI's power, and that's why companies like NetraMark, ticker symbol AINMF, are so important. NetraMark isn't just another AI company, it's a potential game changer that's solving one of the most expensive problems in medicine. Now, of course, I'm not saying run out there and buy NetraMark stock tomorrow. Investing requires research, patience, and understanding the risks. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. If you're interested in learning more, do your own due diligence. Check out NetraMark on the OTCQB exchange under the ticker symbol AINMF, and always consult a professional before making investment decisions. So let me know what you guys think. Will AI reshape the pharmaceutical industry? Would Trump or Elon Musk invest in a company like this? Let's talk about it. Now, I'm not really straying too far away from mainstream media here, guys. MSNBC's Michael Steele, he went on a complete meltdown as he talked about Elon Musk. Musk, as we all know, has been tasked by the president to zero in on wasteful government spending.
That you got a little emotion about the fact that people are losing their jobs indiscriminately. That this individual sitting down the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue has given absolute power to one man who brings his son into the Oval Office, whose son says to him, "You're not the president." So I just like to see somebody wake the hell up and get excited about the fact that your country is under assault. They're not at the gate anymore. They're in your bedrooms. They're in your living rooms. They're in your businesses. They got your data. They got all your stuff. Elon Musk has his tentacles in everything you're doing, not just off of X, but now he's in the Treasury Department. He's in the Labor Department. He's in the Department of Homeland Security. And nobody seems to give a So that's all I want, somebody to show that they care enough to get off their fat and say something about it.
This guy is the former chair of the RNC, and he's gone completely progressive. Another far-left radical who thinks that saving taxpayer money is somehow a crime. He also didn't stop at just criticizing Democrats here. He said that the problem is that Republicans do nothing, and that's the real problem. But I guess they would be okay with Kamala Harris and their goal of spending more than the government can even earn. It's kind of hard to imagine what a Kamala Harris presidency would have looked like, although there are times where we can see glimpses of it. The former vice president was recently on Broadway, where Kamala Harris tried to inspire actors. Now, if you ask me, she just confused the heck out of them.
For those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it. Yes, I mean, look at this beautiful play and everything that we know he ended up, he had to suppress so much. But he knew, and he took those risks. But we have to be clear-eyed. And it doesn't mean we don't see the beauty in everything, right? These things all coexist. But I believe we fight for something, not against something. Right. And that's our optimism, right?
Many seem to think that she was drunk here. Others have theorized worse. Now, I want to redirect you guys to a recent live stream I did. I talked about the work that President Trump and Elon Musk have done and how Democrats have no answer, further embarrassing themselves for fighting against transparency. Make sure you guys check that video out after this one. As always, appreciate y'all hitting the like button and for subscribing. We'll see you next time.